Good morning and welcome to Presence of Light with Charlie Riverman Bergeron. And welcome from around the world. I was running a little late this morning, so hopefully everybody is ready to begin this little journey of seeking knowledge. That's how I arose this morning, was by taking a moment to tap into feeling where I was and who I was. And I ask each one of you to just take a moment to think about that, to tap into and feel where you are, not only just in physical world of place, but where you are within yourself and who you are, and what are you feeling about that? What is coming up for you? Don't want you to overthink it, but just tap into the emotion, tap into the situation of your daily life or your relationship with others, be it family or work or just with the world situation. And these are times where we are all seeking guidance. We're all seeking guidance. It doesn't matter how much knowledge we have. We are seeking guidance. But in that guidance, we're seeking, what came to me was knowledgeable guidance. And that's where the word knowledge came from. It's a knowingness beyond what we're taught, beyond what we're told, beyond what we've been trained to think or respond to. And so this was the unsettling of my mind this morning. And it wasn't, for me, a very pleasurable experience. And it's okay, because I know that once I tap into the thinking of what, where, why, and how, I will usually find a pattern that allows me to go and ask for the knowledge that will make that dissipate. Many of us call it seeking guidance. And I'm sure each one of you arise many days in that state. I know I'm not the only one. And it may be a dream you had, or it's quite possible you may not be physically feeling well, either energetically, emotionally, or, it could be a physical illness. It could be long-term, and it could be just in a short time frame thing. But all of this is really the key to resolving most of the sort of issues that we have, is knowledge. So, good morning. That's my sort of intro. Good morning to Charlie and Anita and Joni and Kara, and bless you all. I can see you over here on the sideline, so thank you for showing up. And the first card that I drew this morning, which I always draw these beautiful sacred meditation cards, Sacred Space meditation cards. It seems to be the first deck that I go to. This one here happens to be, well, get just the number for this galaxy. It's NGC 6745. But the card represents answers. And I was seeking answers this morning. Most of the answers I had somewhat received before I started my show notes. But in writing the show notes for this, I'm always led to something else that comes in that confirms the synchronicity of what I'm experiencing, excuse me, what's going on in the world, and what other people might be experiencing as well. And that gives me this impetus to share. And so the meditation deck being answers, the quote from that, or the main line of that is, I need only to have faith and believe the answers, and the answers will be there. I only need to have faith and believe, and the answers will be there. So it was really a great affirmation in and of itself. It had other affirmations to it, but in and of itself, just having the faith enough to believe that answers will be there, it relieves us from that sense of hopelessness or aloneness, that there's nobody, I can't talk to anybody about this, or everybody's tired of me talking about this. We go through these periods where the answers just, they just don't seem to be coming. And what it's really talking about here is that we need to go, the affirmations really are coming from the source of our creation. That when we seek for affirmations in and amongst the same people who are creating the disturbances in us, we continue with those disturbances. That when we seek answers to things, we have to seek a greater wisdom, or a greater knowledge, or a greater understanding. We can turn to God or source. We can turn to the universe, because they're all representing the source of our creation. So when we seek these answers, that's what the guidance was this morning, was to seek the source of your creation, Charlie. Who is that? What is that? And it's something I'm used to doing since I had my death experience. And the first thing was angels that I encountered, that I could feel a relationship with. And I didn't understand what that was. I only had the childhood memories of what I was told about angels. But I know that in my death experience, I was guided and spoken to by that which we as humans would call angels. And they were very, very helpful. And they were very much in favor of me understanding a greater part of life that we don't understand here in this physical body without some great epiphany, like a near-death experience, or a momentary, how do I want to call it, diversion that takes us out of the body, so to speak, an out-of-body experience. And many of you have had those. Doesn't matter how they've appeared in your life, but really they're parts of your higher self speaking to you to give you a message that you're not just a human being, that you are part of the universe and you are part of that which we call God. And you are in this human form on planet Earth. And it's, I get to talk to you from my heart on Friday mornings. And so that card of the galaxies colliding was speaking really about how they pass through each other. I'll show it again. There's basically two galaxies colliding here. It's hard to differentiate where it begins and when other. But in that vastness of space, the stars in the galaxies are so far apart. They're light years apart. They look like they're close together. So when they collide, there's really enough space that each will pass each other without a lot of damage occurring. But in that passage, there is an exchange of information, whether it be just electric information or light information. It's an information that is being passed amongst all who are passing. So it's just like us in I'm seeing a subway, and we're all passing each other. We're very busy in our own little minds, in our own world. Yet, as we pass each other, there is information being exchanged. And many of you can relate to that in crowds. You'll pick up the energy of somebody else and you immediately will feel fearful, or you won't. You're picking up energetic information. And it's in these times where the energetic information that we're receiving is disrupting us, that we start to feel depressed, or we start to feel anxious, or we start to create stories to justify the feelings. And we're really, if we stay on that path, we're headed for a collision with something. So when we feel like we're headed for a collision, it's important now for us to take a breath, step back from what's outside of us and step in to the world within us and reach out for higher guidance. Whatever you choose to be your higher guidance is really, pretty much up to you. And it can be so many different sources. So for me, it's angels. For me, it's the earth, the spirits of the earth. For me, it's trees. For me, and I can actually begin to sit in the space of that communication. And although I'm not going to say I hear voices, information will come through that my mind will pay attention to and inform me. This is what I want to express today, is that each one of us need to trust that information more critically. And it's usually information that is representing something better, or it has a sense of being of light. And this is what we need to tap into right now as both as individuals and as a collective. So the other card I pick, as I say, I love to speak to angels. And when I say that, it's not like you and I speaking. It's not in sort of what we call physicality. It's a communication that over time you can relax into and trust. And many people will say, "Oh, Charlie, that's just your own mind." And I say, "Thank you. If that's my own mind, it's coming from such a place of light and love and peace. I'm glad, because that must be who I really am." Trust those positive messages. So I went to the Angel Blessings card deck from Kimberly Maroney, which was probably the first communication I had after my death experience. And to this day, I still have this connection and guidance. The card I pulled randomly was the card for Raziel, or knowledge. So here we go. This became the topic of today's talk. So I'm going to look at the sidelines here. Let's see. Yes. Unable to express, may we all be blessed with love, peace, and light, joy, kindness. Thank you, Bonana. Blessings for you and that message. From Kara, freedom, knowledge, love, wealth, happiness, and abundance. Wow. Health is wealth, so living an enriching life is so important for balance. Grateful for our amazing community online. Everyone unique person has the potential to see more, to have potential to be courageous and share their greatness. Thank you, Carol. Again, these are your expressions as we come together, knowing that we are in this safe place, that we are in community with like-minded people, even if we don't fully understand what each other are talking about. The essence of all of this is our wholeness. The essence of what we're receiving is received in our hearts. And as we receive it in our hearts, we sense whether it's worth trusting or not. And that is a reflection of where our mind is. And when our mind and our heart are in connection, then the message is beneficial. If the mind is in opposition to the heart, then we get a chattered message, and we don't know whether to trust that. So this brings me to speak about the alignment of the mind and the heart. And when I speak of knowledge, I'm talking about sacred knowledge, supreme knowledge, knowledge of the angels, knowledge of that which we call God, knowledge of the great teachers that have expressed themselves in human physicality and left their messages for us to guide us. So the angel Raziel, who represents knowledge, the name means God is my pleasure. So what do we mean when we say God is my pleasure? Without any energies attaching it to any different teachings, but we're talking about creator, that's what we believe created it, that somehow we were created. That is my pleasure. Creation. How many of us right now feel that we're not being very creative, that we're kind of in this position of being locked into not being able to communicate people, not share with people, not be able to communicate and create together. We may be creating on our own, but sometimes that can be very lonely. So we need to be embracing each other and creating together. And this is that knowledge. This is that knowledge that we need to seek right now, to find our answers, to find the guidance to healing. And in the Bible, as I was doing this and gathering notes and just tapping into this, I came across a biblical message from the Bible, and it's from Matthew 7:7, the New Testament. And the quote was, "Ask and it will be given to you. Seek and you will find. Knock and it will be open to you." Many of us have heard this. And if we haven't heard it from Matthew in 7:7, we've heard it from somewhere in some other writing. This is not a singular writing. This is a great teaching that when we open our hearts and ask, not question from this mind, but we open our hearts and ask, and we truly are seeking the answer, it will arrive. And the story of Raziel was that in the Garden of Eden, it was a story about Adam. When they left the Garden of Eden, he became ill. And Raziel, the angel Raziel, was the one who presented him a book listing all the medicinal herbs that could cure every possible illness. And in that, Adam found healing. This is what I'm saying. Ask and it will be given to you. So even in that case where, the biblical story of being in the bowl of fruitfulness and then leaving it, doesn't matter why or how, but being out of that, then in that expression, Adam became less stable, became ill. Yet Adam was seeking knowledge. And in that seeking, in that heart space, it was answered. And it was answered by the angel Raziel. How many angels do you have in your community of beings to assist you, who would be more than willing to come in if you ask and give you the answers that will correct or realign or balance what you need in your life? So this is where we're at right now. We're in a place of asking. We're asking and hoping that unlimited knowledge comes through us, to us, and through us from beyond what we see and what we can grasp in this third dimensional physicality. It's calling us, whatever it is, to ask for assistance when we're in deep, deep doubt. Doubt of who we are, the doubt of making the right choices, the doubt of that everyday life brings up for us. Because right now in our world, there's just so much disagreement. And it's almost exponentiating. It's getting worse by the minute, not by the day. I mean, and we're being misguided by the teachings that we have respected and we've been taught to respect. And we can't trust them fully because they are being written. They have been rewritten, and they're being rewritten right now in order to control rather than guide us. We are sovereign beings, and we're not here to be controlled. We are here to share in the gathering and the running and the working of community as however many billion people we are. So I'm asking you all to seek knowledge. And it's in that seeking of the knowledge that somebody's saying in clearing emotional blockages for cleansing. It's in that process of seeking knowledge that it'll happen. And it may not happen at a highly visible level, but just the act of seeking opens the door. It opens. Ask and you shall receive. It's just as simple as asking. The universe, our divine creator, would love nothing more than to answer if we give it the opportunity and the energy of just a little belief that we will receive an answer. In and amongst all of this chaos, in and amongst all of this lying, cheating, manipulating that is happening around the world right now. That's not who we are. And that's certainly not who we want the future generations of humans to be. So we have a responsibility, each and every one of us, no matter what age bracket we're in, to tap in and ask for knowledge. Seek that knowledge that will be universal knowledge. Universal knowledge, a knowledge that combines both divine wisdom and our intuition. Because we have it potential within us. So I'm not meaning to preach, but I just want to trigger those energies within you that say yes, bringing us more fully into both the learning of that wisdom and that knowledge and the expression of it simultaneously. If we look at the history of humanity, we used to think the world was flat. And some people still do. And that it was center of the universe. And some people may still think it's the center of the universe. In many ways, we as a collective whole are still behaving in the same brutal ways that existed during that time, which was how many hundreds of years ago? We're being brutal with each other, almost more so than that. We're being brutal with nature. And of course, we are nature, so there really is no separation. But it's almost as if we have to somehow express brutality, which is not a very evolutionary process. We don't evolve by destruction. We will, unfortunately, but it's not, we're going to evolve in a manner where we are still going to have a backsplash of damage that somewhere in the future will have to be realigned, because we're drifting too far away from the original template of creation. So knowledge is something to ask for. And it's more than what's written in a book. It's more than what somebody's speaking. And if we tap from our heart, listen, and ask upward, we will receive that. We will be guided in so many unique ways that they'll appear as miracles, because miracles happen naturally. Miracles happen when you make that connection. Our knowledge now requires us to trust our intuition, pay more attention to nature, and create together in balance. This is our challenge right now as we move forward. This is our challenge as we evolve. And by paying more attention to what you are feeling and what we are feeling as a collective, as the signs of change that need to be addressed together, we co-create. We co-create a future for our children and our children's children and our children's children to come into, that is beneficial, abundant, loving, and more balanced. And we don't know what that would look like, but we have dreams. We have desires to witness that. And perhaps someday we will. We may not remember this at all, but we may be the ones who enter into that space and time we work together on right now by seeking that knowledge. So I'm complete, and I want to thank you all for being here. And Margaret says, trusting the power of love over the love of power. That's a beautiful statement. Donna's sending virtual hugs. Everybody received Donna's hugs. You know, it's a wonderful joy to be here with each of you every week. And together, by us seeking the inner knowledge and gifting it to those who need it around us. I know there's going to be many times where it's going to be thrown back in our faces, that people are going to shut us out of their lives for being nice, for being loving. And it sounds crazy, doesn't it? It sounds crazy that anybody would do that. But that's exactly what happens. And we have to be strong enough within our own hearts to say, yes, I understand what you want me to do. And I will try my best. Because who you are, whatever that you are is really me. I love you. I thank you. I respect you. I am you. You are me. It's real simple. It's real simple when we get out of the way and allow the messages to come through and trust the messages. And in the beginning of listening to those messages, it may be strange and it may be fearful. But I promise you that if you listen to those that are expressing goodness and kindness and love and compassion, those are the knowledge that needs to be shared during what we're now going through. Thank you, thank you, thank you. We'll see you next week. And I have no idea what next week's talk is about because I won't know until I get there. And neither will any of us. So live every moment in the fullest you possibly can, and know that my peace, my light, and my love is truly with you all. Bless you all. Thank you. Bye-bye.